Yep. Good morning, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about how to use date and time functions. So, in the data types, we learned about how to use the date and time type. One example I showed you here. So, in this, we are designing the date and time, and the date time will change according to the date we use. So it will update according to our current date and time. Here we learned one option about timer events, which I will show you here. So you need to understand one more, that is, so JavaScript timer events. So what are the JavaScript timer events? Actually, timer events, we have options like set interval, set timeout, we have clear interval, and we have clear timeout. So what is the purpose and what is the difference? I will show you why you need this. One simple point is, for example, first I will show you timeout. So timeout function, it is used for handling debounce. So it is used for handling debounce. Actually, debounce is an electronic term. If you have any idea on electronic devices, people who learned electronics, they have an idea on bouncing and debouncing of electronics. Bouncing and debouncing is nothing but, for example, you are using a remote control. So, for example, you are using a remote of TV. Generally, we are using keyboards, remote, and our computers have keyboards. How keyboards are different from typewriter? Typewriter, typewriters will be there. How keyboard is different from typewriter? Generally, when you are typing, you use the word typing, right? In computers, usually we don't type. Computers don't type. Suppose when you are using a laptop or a desktop, usually you may say, I am typing. Generally, keyboards don't type, right? You are not using a typewriter. Typewriter will type. Keyboards will key in. They are not typing, key in. What is difference between key in and typing is, in typewriter, if you hold a key, then it will print it and it will stop. But in keyboard, when you hold a key, it will continue. You know that, right? So keyboard is not typing. Keyboard is keying in. Typing is different, keying in is different. Then what is the problem is, suppose we are using TV remotes or you are using some other remote controls keyboards. Usually what happens, you press volume up button and before you release, it may go 100 points because you hold down a key and you just delayed its release. That means you are not immediately releasing. You just delayed it release, it will go 5 points, 10 points extra. That is called bouncing. Actually, to control remote, they implement debouncing in that. Debouncing means even when a key is held down, it will not execute the task immediately. It will delay the task. Slowly it will execute one after another. This mechanism is called as what? Debounce. If you don't implement debounce in remote controls and anywhere, when user plus up arrow, it will directly go to 100 volume. If user down arrow, it will directly come to 0. That's the reason you see in TV remotes, you hold down a key, then slowly volume is increasing. 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points. If debouncing is not implemented, then it will be directly 0 to 100, 100 to 0. So what is the concept of debounce? Debounce concept is nothing but, so it is used to control debounce actually. Debounce is used to control the bounce of keys, the bounce of keys in electronic devices. Actually, what it can do is, it can delay any task by specified time interval. That is called debounce. It can delay any task by specified time interval. That's what the concept of timeout. Syntactically, we have to use set timeout, and it uses a function, and it uses interval. Interval is defined in milliseconds, how many milliseconds it is. So timeout is used for controlling debounce concept. Let's see one example for this. How we can use this debounce, what does it means actually? So let's say a new file, and here I'm using a simple page with a paragraph, align, center. And here we are writing a function, body load, on load, body load. And here we are defining a script and a function. This is body load. And above we have some functions. So we have a function F1, document.query selector. So we have P dot inner HTML. I am printing here as 1. And we have function. Similarly, I will add other functions. I will add another function 2, and it is printing 2. And we have function 3, and it is printing 3. Like that, it is printing some details. So I am calling here function 1, function 2, and function 3. All 3 functions are called in body load. Now when we call all 3 functions in body load, and you can see I run this page, and it is going to display 3 as number. Now the question is, what happened to 1 and 2? Are they executed? Yes. Are they printed? Yes. You cannot see that. It is so fast that your eye cannot catch it. It is so fast that your eye cannot catch. For example, you have fan rotating at very high speed, right? Very high speed fan is rotating. You cannot see its wings. You know, from your mobile, take a photo, right? When you take a photo from your mobile, fan photo will come, but wings are not there. Can you take a photo so that you can see the wings clearly? How to take a photo from your mobile of a fan so that the wings are clearly visible? but it is fastly rotating. Can you take photo like that? Take and show me. No? Seriously? Just rotating head. Right? You got the wings? No? How much cost your mobile is? 20,000, 25,000. Why you put so much cost? 20 megapixel, 50 megapixel, 70 megapixel. Seriously, then if you are using 40, 50 megapixel, that means it is more than DSLR. You know, DSLR also don't have so much pixels. They are all false pixels. They are bluffing you. Right? They are bluffing you. And the point is, you don't know about photography. If you know about photography, then that pixel will be useful for you. Right? You don't know photography, you don't know basics of photo, and you are purchasing 50 megapixel camera. Why? No use. You are taking photo in a normal way. Right? People who know those techniques, they use so many things. A fast moving vehicle can be taken as stopped. Right? How we can do that? Because normally it cannot capture. What we do is we change the frame rates. You know, frame rates will be there. Even while you shoot a video, how to shoot a 4K video? To shoot a 4K video, we change from 30 frames per second to 60 frames per second. You know, frames per second. That means general ordinary videos, 30 frames per second. 60 frames per second, it will be high quality video. But every mobile don't support that. Sometimes it can be 124 also. Usually gaming consoles have that. Gaming consoles have 4K video games and all. That means the point is, our eye cannot catch the fraction. It is so fast. That means 1 is executed, 2 is executed, but we can't see them. So fastly executed. Then what you have to do is, that's what I am talking. This is called bouncing. That means you press up arrow, it will go directly to 100. Down arrow, it will directly come to 0. Then how you will adjust slowly? 1, 2, 3. That means every task that executes, it should be delayed. We have to delay the task by some time. Already one task is performing, delay by some time, another task. That means how you do that? Just what you have to do is give these 3 tasks to set timeout. First function F1, it will start in 3000 milliseconds. And set timeout, second function, it will start in 5000 milliseconds. And set timeout, third function F3, it will start in 10,000 milliseconds. That means all functions are loaded into memory at a time. But after 30 seconds, first one will be released. Other 2 functions are locked. They are not released. After 5 seconds, second one will be released. After 10 seconds, third one will be released. Then you can clearly see them. You can see them, right? Clearly. How you see? I will refresh here now. It will display the first message 1. After that 2. After that few seconds, it will display 3. Now we can see clearly. That means now we can see clearly everything happening. That means the speed is so high that you can't control it. Keyboards, that problem is there. You press a key and just delay releasing it. It will type 3-4 times. That generally happens in all electronic device. So that is the reason when they do embedded programming, they implement a concept called debouncing in it. What is the mechanism of debouncing? Debouncing will not allow the key to do the task immediately. It will delay. It will delay by some seconds. That you can control by using what? Set timeout. And if before executing you want to clear from the memory, then what you can do is you can use clear timeout. You can remove the function from memory before execution by using clear interval. So clear timeout. We can use clear timeout. We can use clear timeout. That's the function we can use. Put a function here. So syntactically, we have to define clear timeout, and we have to give function reference name, function reference, memory reference. We have to define function memory reference, not function name. We have to give the function's memory reference name. I will show here. The point is, for example, see now, I am defining some 1 second, 1000 milliseconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, like this. I given delay time. Now what should happen is here, let me keep a button and say cancel function 2, F2. I am designing something like this. Usually first one is executing, second one is executing, third one will be executing. But what should happen is I refresh. After first, second should stop. Second should not execute. Third should execute. That means when I click cancel F2, F2 should be removed from the memory. That means it is already loaded into memory. I want to cancel it. Then what you can do is, we first to remove from memory, all these three are loaded in memory. In which memory F1 is present? There is no reference for that. Then how you will access it? So what you have to do is, you have to use variables A, B, and C. 3 variables we declared. And into A, we will store function 1. Into B, we will store function 2. Into C, we will store function 3. That means now three functions have 3 memory reference. Then we can control them. If there are no memory references, we can't control them. So now why I declared outside function so that I can access anywhere, global. I am using another one here. Let's write a function. What is it? Cancel click. On cancel click, I have to clear timeout. Clear timeout. And which function? B, which is loaded in memory B, it should be cleared. You should not give function 2. We should give the reference of memory where it is loaded. Now see what happens here. I am executing. So refresh. I am executing number 1. Number 2 also will come because I am not clicking cancel. Right? So now what we will do is once refresh again. So first one executed, I click cancel F2 and you see second one will not come. I have to click cancel button, not written. Event not written. On click what? Cancel click. This function we have. One, I click on cancel F2. Second function will not run now. Directly after 1, it will get me the 3. You can skip. You have to do that before it released. Once it is released, you click, doesn't happen. Before it is released, you have to click it. That means the first one executed, I click cancel F2. Then second function is not executed. It is removed from the memory. The third one will come directly now. That's how we can delete. That's the concept of set timeout. Another one, clear timeout. We have set timeout and clear timeout. This is an example for that. I will copy example. So in interviews, they ask what is debouncing and why we need to control debouncing. Debouncing is a mechanism where tasks are executed so fast that we cannot see them. Right? We want every task to delay by certain time. Then we have to use that by using timeout. Now there is another option. We have timeout, and we have another option. We have interval. Interval timeout difference is actually timeout so will remove the task from memory. Timeout will remove the task from memory and releases into process. Timeout will remove the task from memory and releases into process. So timeout will execute only once. Timeout will execute only once. It is going to execute the task how many times? Only once. Timeout will execute only once. But what interval will do is, interval will keep the task in memory and release into process at regular time intervals. So you have to remove explicitly. So timeout and interval difference is timeout executes only once and interval repeats until you remove it. For example, what is the concept of timeout and interval is, I will show here. I am creating here. I am using a small concept here. Suppose we have memory and we have some process. Generally, we are having two tasks, task 1 and task 2. And we usually have memory and we have a process. Generally, what happens is, when you execute, these two tasks are loaded into memory. After loading into memory, the first task I am using timeout. Timeout means the task 1 is removed from memory, it is sent to process. After it executed, it will come out. If I want again the first one, then again I have to load into memory. That means how many times a task will execute? Only once. But if I use interval, a task will be in the memory and it will release its copy into process and it will execute. After executing, it comes out. After few seconds, it will release another copy into it. That means it will be executing continuously. That's what yesterday you saw. Time printed, after few seconds again printed, after few seconds again printed. That means we are printing time at regular intervals. And it will not be removed from memory until you remove it. That means if you want stop, then what you have to do? You need to remove it from the memory. If you remove it from memory, then it will execute and it will stop. Otherwise, it will repeat until you close the application. So this is interval. What is difference between timeout and interval? Timeout executes only once. Interval executes repeated until it is removed. We'll see one example for this. Already yesterday example I showed you. Yesterday we saw the example of time, how to tick the time. That means continuously ticking time we can display. Let's see another example here. I will do one thing here for this example. I have to link relation is style sheet and href is node modules and bootstrap dist css bootstrap.css. I am using bootstrap css. Now here we will design a simple class container fluid. Okay, we'll keep a div. So let's keep here deflex, justify content center, align items center, center, align items center like this, and style height 100 vh. We are just adding that. Now inside this div we are having a button, so load image, and we will put a class btn primary. Okay, actually I will cut this and keep in another div, and this div will have a id. It will have an id as button container. Okay, I will have another id, another div. This is a loading container. Okay, and here we have a div, so class bi. So not bi, here we will use spinner border, and text some success. And below this I will keep another div id as status. Okay, status is id, and below this I will keep another div, so id is image container, and here I am just adding an image. So it is public images, some fashion1.jpg, so width and height. Okay, now we have these all contents there. So we are having all these contents here. This is the original size. Actually, this is the original. Now what I want is, I want to hide image and that loading. So that means I will put a style display as what? None. Image container also style display as none. Okay, that means only the button is present. Now what should happen when user clicks load image? Loading image will take some time. It will take few seconds of time, and I want to show that as a status, loading 5%, 6%, 10%, 20%. We want to show the timer, how much percent completed loading we want to display. So let's do that and see here. When I click on load image, the timer should start and it should show me the status. So this spinner, I am using a class as text center. Okay, so now we will write here a script, and in that we will write a function. Set loading is the function. This loading function, above the loading function we will have a count 0. Count is 0, and this loading function count should be increased by 1. Count plus plus, it will increase count value by 1, and it will store in count. That means it is equivalent to count is equal to how much? Count plus 1. Count value increased by 1, and it will be stored in count. In short, it is count plus plus. Okay, now this count should be displayed in a status document get element by id. I will put status dot inner html. Actually status is present below the spinner. Below the spinner, status is present. And there I will display inner HTML. Here I will display. So count percent completed. This message I want to show. So loading is a function which will increase the count by 1 and it will print the count 1%. When I call it once, it will be 1. If I call 2 times, it will be 2. I should call until the loading is completed. What we will do now here, we will execute define a function is load image click. When load image click happens, what should we do is we will put here simply we will put a function set interval. Set interval. We will call the loading function, and I will keep time interval 200 seconds. That means less than 1 second. 200 milliseconds, 1000 milliseconds is 1 second. So what will happen now here? This loading is going to execute every 200 milliseconds. When it executes every 200 milliseconds, for every 200 milliseconds, it will be plus 1. 1, 2, 3 incrementing. But after 100, it should stop. After reaching 100, it should stop. So what we will do after 100, what it should do? So I will write a logic here. We will write a condition. What is the condition? If count is equal to how much? 100. If count reaches 100, then what we will do now is I will simply display here document get element by ID btn container, that is button container dot style. Which style? Display. Display will be none. So button will hide. Document dot get element by ID. So not this will hide. Which one will hide? Loading. Loading container will hide, and get element by ID. Get element by ID. The image container will display dot style dot display is equal to block. After reaching 100, it will do. Now what should happen when load image is clicked? We have to hide the button container. That means document dot element by ID. What it is? btn container dot style dot display as what? None. So button will be hidden. Document dot get element by ID. Loading container should display. Loading container dot style dot display should be block. That means what happens is when I click this load image, button container will hide, loading container will show. And after reaching the 100 value of count, loading container will hide and image container will show. Right? That means now that is the logic. And load image click, we have to write on this button. Button on click. On click, it has to use what? Load image click function. And see now I click on load image, it should show the status here. And it is showing the status how much percent completed. And once it is 100% completed, then it is going to display the image. It will hide this container and it is going to display the value here. We can display with animations, effects if we want, like zoom in, zoom out. We have CSS transition scale we can apply. So this is just timers. And remember, here I am using a spinner. I'm just using a spinner. Okay. This is an interval syntax I will show here. Set interval is Same, it have a function and it have time interval. We have clear interval and we have reference name. That is how it manages. And let's see one example here. I will copy this example, but we will do another one. Remember, I told you meters and progress. At the time, I explained that meters and progress. Today, we will control them. That means the progress bars meter controls dynamically. That depends on these timer events only. Let's change. I will not use a spinner. Spinner is bootstrap thing. I will not use a spinner. Let's do this. So with the spinner example I copied, let's do here another one. Below this, I will not use a spinner. Instead of spinner, I will put a progress. Progress will have minimum 1. Progress will have maximum 100. Value is some 1. We have a progress bar. Generally, I will put a style here. And in the style, wherever progress is present, so width of progress, I will give 200 pixel. Height of progress as 40 pixel. Okay. 250 pixel and 40 pixel. We have a progress. Now what we need to do is, when timer is there, here count is incrementing. Now this count value have to copy to progress. That means what we have to do, we need to get element document dot what, get element by id, not id, doesn't have an id dot what, reselect what, progress dot value is equal to count. We are keeping the progress value. Progress value is count value. That's it. Now you see now what will happen here. This is load image. I click on load image. This time a progress bar will come. I'm not using a spinner. I'm using a progress bar. You can put loading or completed, how much percent it is. And once it reaches 100, that means, remember, the speed depends on how much interval you given. Right now it will display. We are controlling through a progress bar. Just I changed this spinner with a progress, but progress need to be controlled by using a value. The value of progress will be increasing and we can display. Right. That's a simple concept. Remember, that depends on completely how much you are giving. Suppose I want to pause downloading. I want to pause the downloading and I want to control that. So I will do one thing. Below this status, this progress I will keep in another div. Okay. And below this I will give another div. And here I put a button. So this have a class bi pause. And I will use another button. So class bi some play, like this play and pause buttons we are adding. But we don't have bootstrap icon. Na? So we need to link another one. Link relation is equal to style sheet and href is node modules, bootstrap icons, font icons dot css. And okay, so now these should work. These buttons should work. One is play button, another one pause button. We will write. So reasonable classes I will give. So already class is there. So btn and btn success. And on click we will say play click. Okay. Play click is nothing but I will say start click. Okay, that is start click. And pause click, I will use BTN danger. And here on click is what? Pause click. Currently, those functions are not implemented. I am just showing you. You see those two buttons are there. Now, when I click on this pause button, it should pause. Again, I click on play, it should resume. That's very simple. Here, do that now. Let's write the function here. So we are writing a function, and the function is what? So start click on start click, and function on what? Pause click on pause click. Okay. So what should happen on pause click? This must stop. That means the interval we set, it should be cleared. Then we will declare in a variable globally like timer, and into that timer we will put this. That means it is loaded into memory and it is using the timer. When user clicks pause, what should happen is, here we have to simply put clear interval. Which one to clear? Timer. Timer should clear. And after that, what you have to do is, so we will put here start click. Again, timer should assign set interval. Set interval, which one? Loading. How many milliseconds? 200. We have to load it again. Right now, see what will happen here. I click on load image. It starts processing. Some percent completed. I click on pause. Then it will stop there. And again, I click on play. Then it will resume again. I click on the pause. It will pause there. Now, when I click on pause, I want to show the status. Right? You can use a simple word, paused, play, right? That is, for example, you see where I can put that. Above this container, I will put a heading style. Okay. So what we will do is, we will access that heading on start click or on load click. What we will do, whenever load click happen, load image click, I will access document dot query selector. Which one? Heading 2 dot inner HTML. I will put a message loading image. Loading image. Just message I will give. And on start click, again it should display. On pause click, it should say, so loading paused. That message we have to do. So let's see that here now. I click on load image, then loading image. I click on this pause, then loading pause. It will show the status. And I click on play again. That means it is going to resume again. And I click on pause again. It will pause. And again play. It will continue that. And once it reaches 100, then it is going to display that image. So it is going to display the image and show. And I need to hide that heading, right? Or we can put one more option. What is it? After 100 is done, what happens? So image loaded, am I right? Image loaded. So that is the message we will do. And I will give here time interval very fast. I will give 100 milliseconds. And I click on load image. It will be fast, more faster. You can give even 50 and all. And you can see when it reaches 100, then it will display that. So image loaded. That's the basic approach of how we can use timer events. These are very regularly used concepts while doing lot of interactions on web. You are downloading something, you are uploading something, you are copying something, you are installing something. Everything is shown with a status. And that's how we control by using timers, right? These are all important timer events of JavaScript. So finally, what are all the summary of data types you have learned? We have learned about primitive types. In primitive types, we have a number, we have a string, we have a boolean, we have null, we have undefined, and we have a symbol and int also, right? We have non-primitive types. Non-primitive types in JavaScript, we are having an array, we have an object, and we have a map. And we have learned additionally about date type and another we learned about timer events, how we control the timer events. These are the important things you should know about JavaScript data types and handling them. This is the major area of JavaScript. I already told you JSON. We already discussed about working with JSON. We already learned about fetch, promise. Am I right? Fetch, promise, how to fetch from any APIs and use them. It is used for interacting with what? APIs. Now, in the JavaScript language, the other basic things, language basics are common. We have like JavaScript operators. They are same like your Java and other operators. So operators are arithmetic operators, comparison operators, assignment operators, bitwise operators, different types of operators are present. What are the operators we have? Arithmetic operators. You know arithmetic operators: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and what? Modulus. Modulus division is remainder value, right? Modulus. And we have double asterisk. This is a base raised to the power value that is defined with the double asterisk. So this is actually power. And we have the plus and minus. This is what? Increment and decrement. You know these operators here. I don't need to explain this. You are going to learn in your Java and other programming. Am I right? Decrement. So these are the basic operators. And one additional thing you should know is about the modulus and this power. Power is nothing but means some additional point. I will give what it is. Syntactically, we define, suppose, so here 2 and double asterisk 3. That means the result of this will be 8. That is nothing but 2 to the power of 3. The power value is defined in this way. And modulus division we already know. Increment, decrement, here I will give here syntax post increment. I hope you learned this. Post increment and decrement. Post increment and decrement. I think you know this. Post increment and decrement means, for example, we are defining like this. Suppose var x equal to 10, var y is equal to x plus plus. This is post increment. Post increment. Now what is the value of y? What is the value of x and y? So x is equal to 11 and y is equal to 10. That is value of x and y post increment. Post increment means what? It will first assign the value of x into y. After that, increment will happen. X value is initially how much? 10. It is assigned to y. That means y is 10. After assigning, it will go increment. That's the reason x value will be how much? 11. But y value is 10. That is post increment. Suppose we define where y is equal to x minus minus. What is it? Post decrement. What is the value of x? 9. What is the value of y? 10. That is post increment and decrement. You know pre-increment, decrement. So we have pre-increment and decrement. Pre-increment and decrement. What are the pre-increment, decrement options we are having? So suppose, where y is equal to minus x minus minus. What is the value of x now? X is equal to how much? This already given, na? Right. I will give here plus x. What is the value of x? Value of x is 11 and value of y is also 11. Because this time it is going to increment first and after that assign. Right? It will increment x value by 1 and it will assign. So what is the value of y? If it is minus minus x, x equal to 9, y also equal to 9. These already you generally learn in your programming. So those we don't need to rediscuss here. That's what you will learn in your programming. So these are all arithmetic operators, right? But here one challenging thing for us is how we manage these arithmetic operators. That means you have to know JavaScript provides math object to handle mathematical operations, mathematical expressions, to handle mathematical expressions. So JavaScript uses math object to handle mathematical expressions. Because one of the main challenging is in JavaScript or in Java or in your .NET or other technology, you know how to permutation, subtraction, multiplication, division. You can design different mathematical operation. But for example, so I am giving a problem here. How you will do it in your Java? That means suppose I am using a loan calculator. And in this loan amount is suppose 3 lakh. 3 lakh is the loan amount. 3 lakh is the loan amount. And years, number of periods is 5 years. And interest rate is suppose 10.45. Now every month how much I have to pay? How do you calculate? You are a software developer, but your job is building application for business. That means why you are learning all these technologies? Java, .NET, what is the aim? The aim is only one. We have to build apps for different business. Like for bank, for school, for hospital, for college. So we have to build apps for them. Obviously, their business have their business calculations. For a bank application, it's software. Then how you will build an application without knowing how to do these calculations? That means Java developer need not to be a mathematician, but he should have a common sense of how to convert his mathematical formulas into JavaScript formulas, Java formula, .NET formula. Because, for example, what is the formula of monthly EMI? The formula of monthly EMI is this one. Suppose I just give you here. So EMI formula, right? You see, this is the monthly EMI formula. That means this is the monthly EMI formula. to calculate EMI. This is the formula. That is the formula for calculating monthly EMI. Now the question here is how you will put this in Java. And if you cannot put, then you are not a Java developer. Because then how you will build an application for business? But their business calculations are not computer calculations. They are all mathematical. Those calculations you have to design with your computer programming. What is your job? Develop an app which can do these calculations and show them. Right? That means that is your job. Then you have to have a knowledge of how to convert mathematical real life formulas into computer formulas. Because you can't do it like this in Java.NET, JavaScript. Then how it will work? That means you need to convert this into a mathematical formula into a computer understandable formula. Because computer can understand by using operators, and it can understand by using some functions. We can use those functions. That means now you have to handle this. So you have to handle this. For example, see how to do this. So see how we can convert this. I will show you a simple option. For that, we need some mathematical operations also. Mathematical objects, like how you will find a cos value, sine value, tan value, square root value. You have to use some mathematical functions. Math.py, math.cos, math.tan. So like math.sine, like math.sqrt, square root, math.pow, which is power value. We have to use math.round. We have math.floor and math.ceil, CEIL, right? Ceil. So we have math.random. All these are different things. So many mathematical functions. Your technology may have also provided it. That means Java also have a library. By using that library, you can handle mathematical formulas. Right? That means operators and these functions combination we have to use. Right? That means your technology have to teach this, because that is what real-time development is about. You are building app for even a gym or even a smartwatch. You see, it shows how many calories you burnt. According to I walked 1 kilometer, then how many calories I burnt? It's a formula. Am I right? It's a formula. I done some workout. That means how much calories I burnt, how much time I done the workout, which workout I have done. Is it cycling? Is it walking? Is it running? Everything is a formula. After all, a smartwatch is having this. Right? That means you are an app developer and you should know do this. That is your job. And remember, for that you don't need to know the formulas. The business people will give you formula. That means you say that I don't know how to find EMI. Right? Then he will say that don't worry, we have a formula for this and you have to use this formula. They will give you the formula. You have to convert that into computer understandable. Right? That means business people will give every formula. They say that for this purpose, we use this formula. And you have to implement that. For example, you see the websites like we are having. This is HDFC Bank. When I open this HDFC Bank website, in this bank website, you can see lot of calculators are present. You see loan calculator, personal loan calculator. This is a calculator. This is a loan calculator. And what is this loan calculator? You select how much amount you want. You select how many years you want. You select the interest rate you want, and you click on calculate, and you can see that is going to show much payment. How this is happening? This is the job of JavaScript people. That means this is designed by JavaScript. In the web applications, any website front end, whatever you see gadgets, we call them as widgets. Actually, the technical name for them is widget. Widgets are nothing but gadgets for websites. You will have a weather forecasting gadget. You will have a BMI calculator, body mass calculator. You have EMI calculator. You know, people have like what else? Credit score calculator, right? All these are you developers design. That means Java, .NET, PHP, Python. These people build these, but the basic formula is mathematics. How do we convert science, math formulas into computer understandable? That is what your technology have to deliver you. Then only you can build these things, right? That means you need to learn not addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. School people also will do that, right? That means what you do, arithmetic operations, addition, subtraction. What you done, I did calculator, sir. Calculator is a serious thing. After all, addition, subtraction, multiplication, which is not a big challenging thing, right? The challenging thing is real world business. How you handle those formulas. That is important, right? You see here, let's see how to implement this. But we need a detailed formula, because interest rate, how to calculate, because interest rate, they given one formula, but in that lot of logic is there. That means again, how to calculate interest rate per month, per year, and by 100. You have to calculate that. How to calculate the number of periods? Number of periods we have to calculate by, actually it is years. How many years? But we want in months, because we want monthly payment. We have to convert again years to months. Lot of conversions are required again here. That means let's explore details. Suppose I will do one thing. I will show here. So EMI formula. Let's see. Anybody have a detailed explanation or not? Okay, some tax people are there, clear tax. They have a clear explanation about it. So you see the explanation here. What is the clear explanation? Here they say that for what are for interest rate and for number of terms. And you see here, they will use the calculation like this. That means how do you calculate years? 10 years means you have to calculate in months. That means into 12. Every month we have to calculate. Interest rate means you have to calculate like this. What is interest rate? By 12 by 100. Whatever interest rate, 7.2, 6.3 by 12 by 100. And that you have to implement a formula like this. That means you see, this is the formula. That means what is the formula? This is amount into interest rate. So into, again we have an option. What it is? 1 plus interest rate, and it will multiply. This is not math, JavaScript formula. I am explaining basic formula. We have to convert this into a JavaScript formula. Let's do this. So in a concept, I think Bootstrap, we designed that design. We created EMI design. We created the design, I think. EMI calculator, where we design. Public folder it is present. In Bootstrap, EMI calculator. Yeah, we designed this. Already I created this design. In Bootstrap, I showed you how to create this design. Let's implement this now. That means we will put a functionality for this. That means now what should happen is user must able to select here the value. Let's go to the design now. This is the formula detail. Okay. Now you see this is a text box. This is this. When you are moving this, it should update here. Na? It should update here. When we are moving this, it should update there. Right? How you can do that? Let's go and see the text boxes here. What are the text boxes we are having? This is the text box. Initially, we will not put any value. We will keep it empty. This is the text box ID. The ID for this text box txt what amount. What is the next text box? ID. Here I will remove the value. What is the next one? ID is txt what years. What is the next one? I will remove the value here. And what is it? ID. ID is what? txt rate. txt rate, txt years, and txt amount. Okay. You have sliders. Huh? You see the first slider. So first slider, ID. ID as range amount. Second one, ID as range. What it is? Years. And I will have another ID. ID is what? Range. Range is what? Yeah, range into rate. Range rate, range amount, and range years. Okay. Now, when user is moving this slider, amount slider, we have to get the value and display that value inside the text. That means we have to write on change. On change, amount change. Okay. Here again on change. On change is what? Years change. Okay. Here we have again on change. On change what? Rate change. Fine. Now let's go to the code. And here we will write the code. We will put a script and we have a function. What is it? Amount change. We have to do only simple one work. Document dot get element by ID txt amount dot value. It will come from document dot get element by ID. What it is? Range amount dot value. It will display like this. That's amount change. Okay. I will copy this again. Next, which change? Years change. Get txt what? Years. Which value should be displayed there? So range years dot value. Am I right? Okay. Next, one more is there. Another function. What is it? Rate change. We have rate change. On rate change, txt what? Rate. Okay. Range rate dot value. That means that slider value. Now you see here, I will start sliding this. It will get the value and display there. I am sliding this. It will get the value and display here. I am sliding this. The interest rate will display here. Right? We can adjust that rate according to that. So the first level is done. Right? And the second point. Now what we have to do? We have to just click on calculate and want that result. Right? That means on calculate click. We have to calculate this now and show the result. Where do I show the result? To show the result, below this button, okay, this is calculate button and this is a row. In this a column is present. I will put another row. So class as row and I will keep margin top as 4. Here I will put a paragraph. ID as result. result is the paragraph. Class text center, I'm just giving. Okay. Now in that paragraph, I want to display the result. In that paragraph, I want to show the result. On which button click? Calculate. So let's write click, on click. On click is equal to what? Calculate. Calculate click. Okay. And on calculate click, we need to write the function. Let's go and define the function. Calculate click. Okay. Now here, the key concept is we have to collect the formula related data now. Am I right? What is the first one? In the formula, what you are having? P, R, N, N. That means 4 values are present now. That is the formula actually they are having. So that means I will give here, according to the formula, where P. P is amount. How to get the amount value? I will use parse int. What it is? Document get element by ID. Get element by ID. Txt what? Amount dot value. Because it is a text, we have to convert into number. Am I right? Okay. Next what? So where another one. After principal amount, the next one we want to calculate is R. R is interest rate. Na? Interest rate, how much? You see detail here. Interest rate is by 12 and by 100. That means we need to calculate like this. R is equal to what it is. We have to again convert parse int, not parse int, parse float, because it is a decimal fraction. So what we have to do? Document dot get element by ID. Txt rate dot what value. Okay. After that by 12 by 100. Am I right? By is divided by slash. That means by 12 and by 100. That is how we calculate. Now another option where n. N indicates number of periods. So how do you calculate number of periods? What we have to use? Parse int. So document dot get element by ID. What it is? Txt what? Years. Years dot value and into 12. Am I right? Because it is 12, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 24, 34, 36 like that. That is what we have to define. Now see the formula here. That is the interest rate. We have to calculate like that. Okay. Now what happens here? Lot of other options are present. Let's implement the formula now. Observe carefully the EMI formula here. Let's take this formula. I will copy this one. I will open that formula image. I will copy it for you. I think it is a complete web page. So visit the site. EMI calculator. This is the option they are having. Just for your understanding, I will snipe it. Means I will just first show you how we can manage it. Okay, this is the formula. I will copy that and I will paste here. Okay, and you see now, we will try to convert this here. Let's see how do we convert. Now see here, tell me how we write the formula now. So first option is EMI is equal to, EMI is equal to, we have a P, after that into means what? Asterisk, after that R, after that asterisk, and we have to configure what? So 1 plus R, but power n, right? Then we have to use here like this. We have to use like this. Math dot pow, that is power value. And what is the base? Base is 1 plus r raised to what? N, comma n. That's how we need to define. That means the power base raised to n. After that what? Slash. Slash is divided by na? Divided by. After that again. So again we have math. Am I right? So math dot what? Power. What is the base? 1 plus r raised to how much? So is raised to n. Am I right? It is raised to n. And n and 1. Am I right? It is raised to n minus 1. Power n? No. This is what I will put here, parenthesis, and this will be minus 1. Understood? That's how we need to convert a formula with our mathematical operators, arithmetic operators, and libraries. We need to convert the formula into that way. So this is the basic thing. That is what actually EMI formula is they are having here. I'm just giving a basic. Actually, in that, so many other concepts will be there. I'm taking a simple concept of making you understand about the formula. Right? That means this is what we need to implement. Let's implement now. I will go here. What it is, where what? EMI is equal to what we have to do. So we have to first P. After that asterisk R. So after that, so asterisk. And after that, what we have to do? Math dot pow. Pow. And here it is having, so 1 plus R. R to the 1 plus R is raised to the power of n divided by. Am I right? Divided by again. What it is? Math dot what? Pow. Pow. What it is? 1 plus R. R. And raise it to the power of n minus 1. That's how we define. Now this EMI should be printed. Document dot get element by ID. What is it? Result. I have an ID called result. And here I am printing the details. Printing the details. So I say your monthly installment. Your monthly installment amount is how much? We have to just use that EMI. I will just use temporarily. You can use 2 local string and all. Am I right? Ampersand hash 8377 semicolon. So, and this is the EMI. So for how many months we have to give the month number also. Month number is n. N is number of periods. For n months, I have to define. For how many months you have to define. And let's keep this part in a bold. So I keep that in a bold. You can add some more size effects and all. Okay. Now see here what we are doing. So class name, I'm giving as some text success. Like this, I given some value, text success or text primary. Okay. And you see now here, that is the formula here we are having. I'm selecting the loan amount. I'm selecting the interest rate. Means years, how many. I'm selecting the interest rate and click on calculate. So it should get that. Calculate function is not there. Button click, we are writing. Calculate click. Where is that button? It is there. Something wrong. Let's check any error. Some error is there. We will check what is missing. assignment of the value have a problem. That means here the mathematical formula have some issue. What is it? We just use math.pow into math.pow. Right? Yeah. And I will just use this one now. Right? I will select the amount we need, and number of years and interest rate, and calculate again invalid reference. That means here also this -1. Those parentheses have an issue, right? Yeah. And click on calculate again. Problem is there. Left hand side assignment means somewhere the problem is in where we have the issue. Let's check. Some value issue is there. TXT amount value is okay. And which line it is? It is 23. Here it is showing some problem. Suppose I will just put here. Acha, we are using inner HTML. We are not using a small mistake. Inner HTML. It is paragraph, na? That is the diff. So now we select the amount and we select the number of periods and we select what? Interest rate and calculate. It should get that. But this should round to the nearest. Na? That means what we will do here, we have to use a simple mathematical function. What is it? Math dot what? Round. Round which value? EMI. That's enough. So it will get a normal value and display. Okay. Now I will give this as a class, right? I will keep a lengthy one here, the class text center and heading 3 I will give so that it will display large. Okay. Now the amount you need and the number of years and you have interest rate and click on calculate. It will display like how much they need to pay every month for 48 months. That is the basic of calculation. This is generally done by using the technique of arithmetic operators and mathematical functions. This design we created in Bootstrap already. Only the functionality we are implementing. This is example of how we use various operators. This is an EMI calculator of a bank, right? Now we have some other operators and statements. We will check them in the next session. Tomorrow we'll do that. Okay. Tomorrow we will discuss statements, functions, and other operators, how to handle them. Okay. Right. You have to try this. Then I will give you some task on this. Based on this, I will give a